Hi, this presentation will be about active learning approaches. Yesterday we talked about engagement, and we said that engagement really is linked to motivation and to active learning. And we said that engagement is really a product of motivation and active learning, meaning that if either motivation equals zero or active learning equals zero, then engagement will equal zero. Or in other words, if there is no motivation or there is no active learning, there will be no engagement. So what is active learning? So active learning means that the mind is actively engaged. An engaged student actively examines, questions, and relates new ideas to old. And students make information or a concept their own by connecting it to their existing knowledge and experience. Fink also talked about active learning and distinguished between active learning and passive learning, where in passive learning it's the student sitting in a classroom and receiving information. The active learning, there is a division to experience and reflective dialogue, where in experience the student is either doing something, as we will see in many of the approaches that I will review now, or observing someone else doing something. So active learning is really an umbrella of different approaches. And the list is very long, but I will go over 5 here. So collaborative and cooperative learning, experiential learning, problem-based learning, team-based learning, and task-centered approach. Now, I don't know about you, but when I look at this list, it all seems pretty much similar. So I'm not sure really what's the difference between them. So let's try to go over this list and see what's the difference. So experiential learning is really, Aristotle stated that for the things we have to learn, before we can do them, we learn by doing them. So it's really, experiential learning is the process of making meaning from direct experience. Now, very similar, problem-based learning also is very linked to experiential learning because it's also a direct experience. So it's a student-centered pedagogy that uses realistic problems to teach students about a subject. And the problems are typically in the form of cases. In medical health education, the cases tell a story of a medical encounter. And you will see more about it today. So, characteristics of problem-based learning is first that the content is learned by trying to solve a problem. So the problem could be, for example, a case of a patient with symptoms, and the problem is what does he suffer from. It is a student-centered learning, and the learning is done in small groups. So if you think about the boxes that we described under active learning, it also really, problem-based learning really includes within it collaborative learning. And the role of the teacher is to facilitate. Learning is self-directed learning. And these are just some facts that problem-based learning in medical school has positive effects on physician competence. And in the late 60s, problem-based learning started in the medical school at McMaster University in Canada. Now, most US medical schools employ some form of problem-based learning, and several universities offer the entire program in problem-based learning format. So, meaning that the students actually engage in problems throughout the curriculum. So we talked about experiential learning and problem-based learning, which also touches on collaborative learning. What's the difference between that and team-based learning? So team-based learning is a small group based instructional strategy. And in contrast to problem-based learning, team-based learning requires only one facilitator for classes of up to 200 students. So really the focus is of a very efficient instructional strategy where one teacher can facilitate many students. And the teams, just like you can see here in this little picture, the teams are given challenging clinical problems to solve, which looks like the case-based study, right, or the problem-based learning, with several multiple choice answers. Now that's a difference, and are prompt to come to a consensus regarding the answer. So it's really a very specific instructional strategy. So you can say that it's a very specific way of approaching a case-based or problem-based learning.